GTA's been there, done that, stolen the t-shirt. It's the tattooed, foul-mouthed granddaddy of crime simulators, but just like Grandad, there's way more to it than meets the eye. To the creators, it's a sandbox full of social commentary, dark humour, and epic levels of detail in narrative design and concept. To players, it's an exciting world of insane possibilities, fantastical destruction, and violent parodies. But ask some angry internet mums and you'll likely hear a different story. This game is apparently the worst thing humanity has ever created and is undoubtedly the cause of all tragedy in modern times. Oh, your toaster's fallen butter side down, has it? Well, that'll be GTA's fault. To some developers, it's a series not to be aped. Why imitate when the big dog of the yard dominates quite so much? But to others, it's downright inspiring. They take the concepts of huge city environments, phenomenal feats of programming to cater for wanton destruction, gritty narratives, characters that don't fit the perfect hero mold, as well as wry satire to establish their own reflections of what GTA means to them. But all clones aren't created equal. While some springboard from the source of their inspiration to create new experiences and stories, others gorge themselves on the desire to simply cash in or rip off the GTA vibe. We're not impressed by the likes of soulless copy-paste attempts like American Crime Simulator or Grand Gangsters 3D, but we are intrigued by those special titles that take the grand in Grand Theft Auto and attempt to make it even grander. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and here are 10 obvious GTA clones that tried something different. Number 10. Lego City Undercover. Nintendo is the bastion of early gaming experience for young gamers, as well as a source of warming nostalgia for those of us who grew up with beloved titles such as Pokémon Yellow, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and yes, Mad World for the Wii. So it came as quite a surprise when they, in the form of a timed exclusive, took a look at the monstrous success of GTA and published a crime-based title on the Wii U. But the game didn't just give Mario an AK-47 and set Princess Peach working on a street corner. Instead, it took yet another childhood staple, Lego, and gave it a GTA paint job. Developers TT Fusion realised that by removing the violence, bad language, and gang warfare from GTA, you're essentially left with a big old game of cops and robbers. And by combining Lego with Grand Theft Auto, they effectively created Baby's First GTA, wherein the player takes the role of undercover cop Chase McCain in the vast expanse of Lego City. But fret not, even though he's a police officer, Chase does indeed commit a few naughty criminal acts in order to infiltrate naughty gangs. And while there's a sprinkling of cartoons, slapstick, violence and humour, don't expect anything too spicy from this cheerful little title. Number 9. Crackdown. If Lego City Undercover had applied some temporary GTA tattoos it got out of a cereal box, Crackdown went all in and got face tats. The sandbox-style third-person shooter enabled players to revel in the massive destruction of their surroundings, clearly paying homage to the citywide explosive carnage of illegitimate daddy Grand Theft Auto. The story may have lacked the social commentary or narrative satire of its inspiration, but it garnered a positive response for its bombastic, non-linear gameplay. Real-Time Studios aimed to go beyond the sandbox setup popularised by GTA 3 by rewarding the player for having as much fun as possible in their destructive environment. Crackdown also introduced superhuman abilities, thereby amping up the demolition potential to levels unachievable by even a fully ripped CJ with a year's membership to Los Santos Ganton Gym. Players can expect mayhem and carnage without the gritty realism of Grand Theft Auto's more intense storylines, for arguably a more fun experience in Crackdown's take on the traditional sandbox. For this reason, this is more than just a cash-grabbing clone, instead injecting a heavy dose of super soldier serum into Rockstar's iconic format. Number 8. Retro City Rampage. Before players were overwhelmed by the vastness of 3D rendered locales, they were instead unleashed onto the unsuspecting 2D streets of Liberty City, San Andreas, and Vice City, all of which were reprised later in the series. Retro City Rampage quite literally includes the retro-style cities of early GTA titles, while emphasizing, as you could probably guess, the Rampage element. It's actually all there in the title if you can read it. Furthermore, although its humour parodies 80s and 90s staples from both gaming and cinema, it's mostly an affectionate satire of GTA's own frivolous destruction. The titular Rampage can be achieved via a vast arsenal of weaponry, as well as the ability to hijack different types of vehicles. So far, so GTA. However, it's the style and the self-awareness that separates this title from other similar clones. It pays homage to the 8-bit era of video gaming and even features 16 graphical filters that evoke retro computers and consoles. The combination of pixel art and nostalgic references give this game an altogether unique feeling that's missing from other entries in this list, creating something both familiar and new, something that is clearly inspired by old-school GTA, but without being a soulless copycat. It is undoubtedly a labour of love and nostalgia, with rocket launchers. Number 7. Watch Dogs. Watch_Dogs is a third-person action-adventure title from Ubisoft that combines GTA-style gameplay with that streamlined version of hacking that TV and movies seem to love. For those of you who played GTA 5, Watch Dogs is essentially the mission Life Invader as an entire game. This title added a new edge to the open-world gameplay and crime-based narrative genre, reflecting the modern-day concerns of cybercrime as well as shooty-shooty bang-bang regular crime. With technology progressing at such a rate, it's only natural for the commentary initiated in GTA to evolve into that posed by installments such as Watch Dogs. Instead of just looking at GTA for inspiration akin to downright copying, Ubisoft took the premise further, exploring the future of crime beyond the barrel of a gun. With the core hacking mechanic reduced to a single button, we can't really vouch for the game's realism though. However, in regards to its concept, we suppose Ubisoft made a decent enough try at exploring the action and narrative of a crime drama when focused on such a specific gameplay feature. The main thing missing, however, was obviously more flawless parkour. Number 6. The Simpsons Hit and Run. Was Lego City Undercover just not quite yellow enough for you? We got you, bruv! The Simpsons Hit and Run was designed to be far removed from the previous Road Rage installment, instead clearly drawing heavy inspiration from the GTA series, in particular GTA Vice City that had released just a year prior. Once again, this title uses the humour of parody to reference the famous crime-based series, a skill with which the Simpsons writers were already well acquainted. Players and fans of the TV show were treated to a range of submissions and different playable characters, while GTA fans found familiarity in the HUD and driving mechanics. The similarities don't end there, however. Hop out of any vehicle to enter a sandbox wherein you can attack pedestrians, blow up vehicles, and destroy the environment. Sound familiar? There's a few bugs and glitches knocking about, but these are often overlooked by the cult following that this game has garnered over the years. And besides, it's not like GTA hasn't had its fair share of bugs. Regardless of the clear similarities, this clone takes the automotive chaos of GTA and paints it bright yellow. Oh dear, the pay and spray garage must be malfunctioning again. Number 5. Saints Row. After the completion of Red Faction 2, developer Volition took notice of a little unknown game series called, what was it? Big Auto Crimes? Or something similar to that, not sure if you've ever heard of it. This new venture was Saints Row, a title that may have begun as a clone but soon developed into an iconic series that really carved out its own identity in terms of wit and style. The clever writing behind GTA often flies under the radar of most players because clearly they just aren't big brain enough, IQ 1000 required. But Saints Row locked onto the nuances of the narrative and commentary, instead choosing to plant a ton of TNT under the vein marked story and blowing that sucker wide open. The writers doubled, quadrupled down on the humour, pop culture homages, parodies, and self-referential humour, thereby creating something undoubtedly separate from its original outing. Yeah, it's another sandbox, but root around in the sand a bit and you'll find tentacle bats, alien SMGs, and dubstep guns. Don't build your sandcastle just yet though. Saints Row 4 has an entire fever dream's worth of special abilities to literally super jump your insane experience to a whole new level. It's GTA's bonkers little brother, and we can't help but want to give it more sugar to see what crazy stuff it'll do next. Number 4. True Crime Streets of LA. Instead of stepping into the shoes of a hardened criminal ex-con or rich fraudster, True Crime Streets of LA gave us Nicholas Kang, the Los Angeles police officer charged with investigating the Chinatown bombings. Unfortunately, Kang was deemed too unlikable to garner much praise and was therefore one of the main gripes of the game alongside some pesky technical issues. However, if GTA set the standard for sandbox environments, True Crime seized this aspect and ran with it. The title features a 240 square mile recreation of a section of LA, including Santa Monica and a large part of Beverly Hills. In fact, most street names, highways, and landmarks were reproduced quite accurately, so much so that Seth Rogen taught Superbad co-writer Seth Goldberg how to traverse LA using just the True Crime map. It seemed to take a long, hard look at GTA's satirical, referential approach before opting to create a more grounded title with an objectively more typical protagonist of the hardened cop who's clearly seen things and experienced stuff variety. If GTA is cops and robbers with you playing a robber, True Crime's interpretation places you in the role of the cops, trying to combat the kind of threats posed by characters you'd see in the Grand Theft Auto series. And if those guys are anything like my character in GTA Online, the LAPD certainly have their work cut out. Number 3. Sleeping Dogs. Unfortunately, this isn't a game about sleepy puppies. Nope, unsurprisingly, due to the title of this list, it's another GTA clone! True Crime Streets of LA might have given us a taste of life as a cop in Los Angeles, and spoilers, it's not all donuts and coffee, but Sleeping Dogs takes us to the streets of Hong Kong as Wei Shen, undercover Chinese-American police officer, as he infiltrates the Sun On Yee Triad organization. Both legal and illegal pastimes are available during those relaxing downtimes between high-stakes story missions, which consequently affects Shen's reputation amongst the Hong Kong locals. Don't like the way that NPC is eyeing your new suit? Feel free to introduce them to a melee combat system that has been likened to the Batman Arkham games. Go fancy with environmental kills and brutal martial arts techniques, or just take a swing with a handy-dandy tire iron. That'll learn him. Similar to GTA, however, Shen can't expect to commit such crimes without repercussions. Undercover or not, he is still subject to the law. Keep an eye on that heat meter if you don't want to succumb to the powerful, seductive, and violent life of a triad. Number 2. The Getaway. You didn't think that a British video game channel could get away with not mentioning The Getaway, did you? This Sony-published title was inspired by not only GTA, but also British gangland films such as Get Carter and Snatch. But the movie comparison doesn't end there. The developers removed the HUD and opted to undertake elements such as car chases with a more realistic approach, like forcing the player to watch the vehicle indicators as opposed to following a giant arrow or minimap. The London setting is quite immersive too and has been rendered rather accurately. Additionally, stop on any street to do a bit of traffic watching and you might recognise some famous car brands such as Alfa Romeo and Nissan, which instantly sets it apart from GTA's creative and often sarcastic approach to asset branding. The realism continues as the player is forced to scrounge for guns, so don't expect to find rocket launchers behind every dustbin. With guns being far less available in the UK than America IRL, this is quite a nice touch for the established setting. As with any British crime romp, expect realistic brutalities, dark tones, and strong language. Unfortunately though, not nearly enough Michael Caine impressions, and I won't torture you with mine. Number 1. Mafia. Mafia, or Mafia the City of Lost Heaven if you want to get serious about this, adds a sprinkling of Godfather magic to the fundamental GTA formula. The gameplay incorporates the solid combination of driving, on-foot navigation, and shooting after all three of which are main staples for most entries on this list, especially Lego City Undercover. So much violence! This title may not use superpowers or tongue-in-cheek parody, but it does evoke a very specific mood courtesy of its much-praised storyline and classic American ambience. The satire is replaced with realism, with police able to book players for minor offences like speeding or running red lights, but that doesn't make the experience tedious. Of course, don't expect explosions akin to those in Crackdown or Saints Row, but you may be surprised by the comprehensive damage physics on almost all vehicles, even to the extent of real-time deformation. Mafia was heralded for its execution, with GameSpot deeming the PC version to be one of the best games of the year, bestowing it with a staggering 9.3 out of 10. It's definitely more of a serious title, but doesn't suffer for it. It has the heart and soul of any well-written, well-executed crime drama, and the stylish flair of the Italian Mafia added for good measure. And hey, bonus points for us, not a single tired Italian-American crime family joke to be seen. We'd wake up with a horse's head in our bed if we did, so, just as well. And that's our list. What do you think about the plethora of games that have clearly taken some or many cues from GTA? Should developers try something new in terms of crazy sandbox shooters, or has Rockstar already perfected the formula? Hijack those comments and let us know. You can follow myself and TripleJump on Twitter here, and while you're at it, why not support the things you enjoy by having a look at our Patreon? Finally, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and thanks for watching.